So we had a question coming from Magda1988G, and she says, "Hi, I don't know if I asked already, but what size of backpack would you recommend for a working holiday visa?" That's a question that we get quite often, actually. What kind of bag? Actually, very often you also get the questions like, should I take a backpack or a suitcase? If you don't know if you should take a backpack or a suitcase, well, read the article or watch our videos about backpack versus suitcase. We have very polar opposite opinion on that. So here you go. But if you chose backpacks, first up, you're right. So well done. And yeah, there is plenty of things that you need to take in consideration. The size and the weight of it is obviously a big consideration right here, but there are other factors to take in consideration, and we'll cover quite a few of them. Now I'm going to start addressing the size of the backpack first, just so you have more of an understanding about what you can carry and what you should take with you. So the range of backpacks that you would be finding to do a trip to New Zealand will be between 40 liters and 80 liters. If you're from the US and you do gallons, I'm very sorry. I don't know. Actually, I don't think that backpacks are rated in gallons.
No, I don't think so.
I think everything is in liters.
Yeah.
So 80 liters are really huge backpack, and 40 liters are kind of decent size, but a little bit bigger than your normal kind of day pack backpack. Now, I personally always believe that you should carry a backpack which is easy for you to carry. That's the most important kind of thing that you should keep in mind. So the first thing that I would say in my first step is that I would kind of try. So usually a backpack which is 40 liters will be around half that amount in weight. So 40 liters will be around, you can pack it up like really heavily around
25 kg.
Yeah, 25 kg. You can pack it really, really heavily with that. Now that said, that's really heavy. 25 kg is already really heavy. So that's packing it really, really a lot, right? Most people won't do that, and they would do a quarter. So that'll be about 10 kg worth of stuff. So keep that in mind when you think about what you want to put in and how much you want to carry. Now, I suggest you actually underpack as much as you can. I personally always travel with something as small as possible. In fact, when I arrived in New Zealand the first time, I actually arrived with carry-on only, and not even a check-in bag. So that's to tell you how little I was carrying with me. Because I feel like you never really know what you're gonna need, so you may as well get it on along the way, and I find that much easier than carrying a big puffy heavy winter jacket for the whole summer, and then realize that, oh well, I'm actually going to spend the winter in Northland and I don't really need a big rain jacket. So that'd be really serious. So a big winter jacket. So that's kind of more my approach. So between 40 to 80 liters. I would not recommend 80 liters. It's way too big and way too gigantic. So kind of try to be, I would strongly suggest 40. But you can go up to 50, 55,
well,
that'd be fine. But
I would go more somewhere in the middle, around 60 or 65 liters.
But you like to pack a lot.
I know, If you, especially when you're on a working holiday, there are a lot of circumstances. You're not just packing for a couple of weeks, you are packing usually for a whole year. So you do need to obviously keep in consideration that you might be taking maybe, a laptop or something, like things that you would use that you might need to use for work, or different, you need to maybe pack a little bit more clothes if you're thinking about work clothes, like something that's a little bit smarter for working. But yeah, like Robin said, at the same time, you don't really know what situations you're going to get into. Like if you're going to end up maybe living in the north of New Zealand, which is so much warmer than in the south, it's usually hard to predict what you're going to be doing and where you're going to be staying in New Zealand, which is kind of the best way of doing things to make sure that you do have the right experience and not force yourself into something that might not be quite right for you. But I think personally I would go for around 60 or 65 litre backpack, and bearing in mind the only times you really need to carry your backpack is when you're going from your transport, if you're going on the bus or if you have your own car. It's literally just carrying your backpack to your hostel. But it's also a good size in case you do any of the multi-day hikes as well. You obviously don't have to fill it up to that capacity when you're doing a multi-day hike, but it also makes it big enough to actually fit all the essentials you need if you're doing that sort of activity. But yeah, it's big enough also for a whole year of travel.
But the thing is, I mean, in my opinion, right, the most important part of like picking the backpack is how well does it fit you, right? Out of everything, the size, the color, the amount of pockets, the amount of little gadget, the amount, like there is so many things like, that you have, and there are some essential kind of gadget that I want on the backpack. For example, I want the double layers on the back, which gives a bit of wind in the back and allows you to breathe on the back, and it's really helpful. So it's kind of like there is, where you have the two shoulder straps on the back, there is some mesh in between your back and the backpack, and that gives so much more comfort, and also allows the back to breathe, so you're not sweating too much, everything. So for example, that's super essential for me, and I always want a backpack that has that. But the number one thing that I like is to get something that actually fits me very well. So I like the shoulder straps to be quite wide, so they're really kind of comfortable, and I like the body strap, would you say?
Yeah, I guess it is the body strap.
Yeah, and I like the body strap to start wide and become thinner, because I find that to be so much more comfortable. So not too thin, but still very thick. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I really want. So I want something that fits me very well. So even when shopping online for backpack, I usually tend to buy like one or two. So I'm selecting really well, and I pick two of them, and I buy those two backpacks, and then I return the one that I decide I don't really like. I mean, it's the same thing that when you shop for shoes online, you always get like the 9 and the 9.5, and then you try both of them and you return the one that doesn't work.
If they do free shipping,
yeah,
free returns.
They always do. They always do nowadays. So that's the very, very important thing, I think, because you're going to have something which is going to be quite heavy. Like even let's say it's 20 kg, it's a lot of weight, and you can go higher. I've seen some little girl at the airport, like not girl, but like a woman that were really not broad and everything like that, carrying backpack that genuinely looked more than the actual size.
Yeah.
And every single time I'm just feeling like it's not worth packing that much, and you can see them wobbling all around. So I feel like the comfort of what it is super important.
Yeah. So when you're actually buying backpacks, usually it has your back and sort of shoulder size in the specifications as well, and it's usually measured in inches. So when you are browsing for a backpack, it's good to get someone to measure your back in inches and your shoulders. So your back from your shoulders to the waist in inches. That's usually the measurements that needs to be taken for backpack sizes, because it is really uncomfortable if, for instance, like Robin sometimes borrows a backpack that I have, and he's got obviously such a much longer back than me, and when he's using this backpack and we go on even day hikes and stuff, it's super uncomfortable for him. So it's really important to make sure that you don't get a backpack that's way too short, because that's just really, really hellish, especially when you've got a lot of stuff in the backpack and it weighs a lot. But also if it's too big, then you end up putting your waist straps around your butt pretty much, which is just not good support. So yeah, it's good to keep those in mind.
Yeah, after that, the last thing that I will look at will be the overall shape of the backpack, right? I think that the overall shape of the backpack is really important. And if you look at a backpack online and you see kind of pictures of it, you kind of want it to be a bit more of a pyramid kind of shape. You want to be able to put most of the weight around the bottom of the backpack and not on the top. There are so many backpacks nowadays that are kind of like sleek looking, and they look like a tube, right? But that means that you're going to be tending to put like things all the way up. And then if you have the top, which is as heavy as the bottom, it's much harder to balance basically on your body, rather than having most of the weight here and then it just balance that way. So it's so important. We actually used to have a backpack that was kind of really like kind of tubular shape, and we used to put quite a lot of gears that we wanted easy access to on the top. So we had all the cameras and all the the little attachment for the GoPros and everything like that, which are like really like pieces of metal and everything like that. And so it made the top of the backpack quite heavy. And honestly, carrying it, it gives momentum, around your head, you get about twice the size, and it's really not that comfortable. So I think it's important to find a backpack that has more weight at the bottom. So there are some backpacks which have 2 extra pockets on the bottom or something like that, which I find really, really much better. But it's personal taste as well. If you have really amazing balance, you'll be good. But I just, you know, it's mostly for when you put the backpack on and it's fully loaded. When you put something on, you know, you do a big swing to put it in, and if it's really on top, it can really take you down. Like actually, you kind of boom. Down, rugby tackle. Welcome to New Zealand. I feel
like you've got experience with that. You've been floored a few times by a backpack.
I don't think I really have been floored, but it has twisted me quite a lot a few times, and I'm not really a big fan of that.
Yeah, I don't think I have really much more to add to that point, but I do have one more point perhaps that we can talk about as well, which is, especially for in New Zealand, it's really important to get water-resistant material on your backpack. Yeah, and on top of that, so not only should you have obviously a good backpack which is water resistant, but it is a really good idea to get those rainproof covers that you can get for backpacks. And a good thing about a lot of backpacks nowadays is that they already come with a rainproof cover, but you can also buy them separately just in case your backpack doesn't come with them included. And
but we have some experience with that. The rainproof cover that you buy separately and are not really well attached to your bag can fly off. And that's not that great. So usually try to find one that has the rainproof.
Yeah, exactly. And also the ones that usually have the rainproof cover included have a little strap at the bottom, so even if your rainproof cover does fly off, it's still attached to the backpack, and you don't have to go running after it.
Exactly, because there was a long run. We got it back, but we wouldn't want to leave it in the beautiful New Zealand wilderness, but it was a long run.
Yes.
All right, so we'll put some links for you guys in the comments below. We do have an article on BackpackerGuide.NZ about the best backpacks for New Zealand. We actually tried a few from Amazon, and we kind of try them on, and so we can tell you what we like and what we don't like about them. So make sure to check this one out. It's on BackpackerGuide.NZ, and then you just type best backpack, for example, or something like that, or you go on travel preparation and you'll be able to find it.
And it looks like this.
There you go. So if you find it useful, make sure to like and subscribe, and in the meantime we'll go back to the live chat.